English operates as a massive, decentralized peer-to-peer network, updating in real time across the globe. This system runs smoothly because all users subconsciously agree on the baseline code of mutual understanding. We rely on these shared definitions to communicate quickly and clearly. Recently, however, the system has encountered a glitch. Small, highly motivated groups are attempting to force overnight software patches onto the language by redefining ordinary words. They demand that society adopt these new rules immediately, often suggesting that those who don't comply are making a moral error. This approach treats a decentralized network as if it were a top-down corporate hierarchy. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how language actually updates, and it often leads to a specific kind of systemic failure. At one coastal university, students were furious after city workers conducted a round of seagull calls at the waterfront. The group decided the real problem wasn't the coal, but the bird's name. They announced the birds would be called feagles from now on. They launched a campaign to make it expensive to harm one, demanding heavy fines for anyone who endangered a feagle. The campaign was professional and aggressive. During press conferences, they insisted on linguistic compliance, treating the new name as a settled fact for the public to adopt. Despite 3 years of funding, ads, and lobbying, the campaign was a total failure. To understand why a well-organized attempt to rebrand a single word was so thoroughly rejected, we have to look at how linguistic patches actually succeed. Language adoption is a bottom-up process. A word or usage only gains a permanent place in the network when it provides widespread, mutual utility for the people using it. Take the singular pronoun they. We use it naturally when a person's gender is unknown or irrelevant, as in, if someone calls, tell them I'll call back. This usage is centuries old and grammatically standard. It didn't need an advertising campaign because it solved a practical problem for speakers across the entire network. It survived and integrated through millions of natural daily interactions, rather than through mandated compliance or social pressure. Linguistic integration only happens when the broader community finds a word useful for communication. If a word doesn't serve the whole network, the network ignores it. This is where the activist model breaks down. When a small group attempts a top-down patch, it is blocked by the system. In the Feagle campaign, the public's reaction was pure confusion. Most people stopped listening entirely. That confusion soon turned to mockery. Locals began making jokes about shitbirds with fancy names because the private redefinition didn't match the reality they saw every day. The effort finally died on the floor of the state legislature. When a bill used the word feagle throughout its text, representatives laughed it out of the room. The motion to table the feagle matter passed with 0 votes in favor of the bill. Forcing unfamiliar meanings onto familiar words triggers systemic friction. Instead of gaining respect for their cause, the activists produced ridicule, because the broader public does not automatically treat a private redefinition as a new standard. The Feagle campaign ended with 3 years of wasted lobbying and resources. The birds were never protected, and the word never left the activist circle. We see this same friction today when groups try to radically expand existing words to fit a specific view of identity. They often assume that because they have redefined a word internally, the rest of the world is obligated to play along. But language is a shared tool. Creating a private language within a small group does not create a new standard for the millions of people outside of it. Language evolves through common usage across millions of speakers, not through activist declaration. The network updates when the speakers are ready, not when they are pressured. You cannot engineer a language shift by force. In the end, the wide world will only speak a language it actually understands.